What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdy Volume Podcast.
Welcome.
How's it going? This is one of your hosts, once again, Leo.
And this is Iz.
And we just want to say welcome to another Friday. Today, we are going to talk about, well, what you're reading right now, you know?
What are we reading right now?
I know last week we spoke a little bit about like things that we've been reading and watching when we were talking about the game.
Yep.
So... But yeah, today we're gonna talk about what books / audiobooks, if you're like
/ manga
/ mangas / comics /
yes. Anything that you have to read or there's a lot of words
writings
to it.
And pictures and stuff on it.
We don't discriminate on,
we don't.
on the type of reading literature. Okay?
Nope, not at all.
We accept
all kinds of books. / mangas / what we said earlier.
Exactly.
So
yes
the business.
Yes.
Well, what are you reading right now, or what have you just finished reading? If you finished something.
So I've just actually not finished, but I've caught up to the manga Aoashi, which right now there's an anime for it. I believe there's only 6 or 7 episodes out right now on Crunchyroll. And I've caught up and I was like, I can't just stop here. Right? So I went on the hunt like I usually do when I watch animes that just all of a sudden just, pique my interest. And I need to find the manga where it comes from. Recently, though, in recent years, there's always a light novel, meaning there is no manga or comic version of it. It's just pure reading. And there's only 2 series that I've just read the light novels for. One of them being Ascendance of a Bookworm. I'm currently reading the light novel for it because the episodes are taking a little bit too long. And then the second one would be The Beginning After the End. Those 2, I read The Beginning After the End was actually the first one I did, where I'm reading it and I'm just like, or I'm reading the webtoon and I'm like, this can't be it. This can't be it. I gotta go further. So I ended up reading the webtoon or the light novel version of the webtoon where it's just purely text, and I couldn't stop. I literally read through like 6 chapters of the webtoon. And see, the thing about this is that I read this with my brother, so we kind of always, we always discuss this series together as with the webtoon and all its art and the power struggles and the power ups, everything like that. And you really try to figure out, what if this happened or what if that happened? So I went so far ahead of him that he was just like, okay, no, don't stop reading that. I'm like, all right. I'll stop reading that. So I did, and for 6 weeks, I didn't watch or I didn't read the webtoons only because I knew what happened, right? But what's cool about the light novels that I bet you all the people who read books know is that there's always pieces that aren't in the webtoon. You know what I mean? Right. It's almost just like when the movie comes out, there's a lot of holes from the book. So similar to that, in the webtoon, there was differences in the light novels, whereas in light novels there is perspective.
Right.
Like you'll have one book, but then you'll have the main character's perspective. His name is Arthur, and then all of a sudden you have the antagonist's perspective, Lucas, and so Lucas' perspective, and then you have the antagonist's brother, Byron, and his perspective, and then you have all these other perspectives that you have to account for. And here I am thinking I've gone 20 to 30 chapters into the future when I've only gone 6. You know what I mean? And so I read so many. So these days I try to stay away from the ones that have light novels, but I mean I can't help it if it's amazing. But Awashi doesn't have a light novel. It came from a manga, and I literally read from, I believe, chapter 45 to 292 in 4 days.
Wow.
I know what you guys are thinking. Does he have a life? I do. Okay.
Yeah, he's a successful musician.
Yeah. Okay.
You can
I
catch
had
him at
so
the
many
Griffin.
gigs.
Wait, is
Okay.
it the Griffin?
Is it Hennessy's Tavern?
The Hennessy's Tavern
Yes.
every
Tuesday.
Tuesday at 9 to 1.
9 to 1 in the
Here in
morning.
Vegas, obviously. If you have a Hennessy Tavern where you live, you won't find them in there.
Yes. And
Here
I
in
know
Vegas.
there's like 6 others that I know of outside of this state.
Yeah, I mean, it's Hennessy. It's just...
Yeah, I know. Everybody likes that place. Am I right? Shout out to Hennessy Tavern, baby. Yeah, so Aoashi is a soccer anime. Believe it or not, I love sports animes.
Me too.
And it's about young... Actually, he was born in Ehime, Japan, which is apparently like the boonies. And he was brought to Tokyo to a football club. Now, remember, it's not football high school. This is a football club. In the manga, they actually really tell you there's a difference between a youth club and a high school soccer club. The high school soccer club doesn't have ties like to the professional world, whereas the youth clubs do. Where the youth club is actually a subsidiary of their pro team.
Right.
So there's pro teams, and I'm not really familiar with how soccer is actually,
It's
set up.
practically kind of the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's like you have the junior leagues or the junior youths, and then when they graduate, they go to Team B, and then there's Team A, and then there's the senior team. The senior team is the pro team, and that is where you just kind of learn everything about it. And what's really cool about manga, and especially when it comes to sports, is the homework that these authors and writers and even illustrators do before they even come out with the story. Like there's a character in Aoashi that she deals with the main character's meal plans, and then like you'll look at the paper, and I'm like, I've seen paper like that. Like I'm not saying that they should at least have that right, but it's just really nice detail, to see in an anime and in a manga. Granted, it's shown in the anime, but when you see it in the manga, it's a little bit different because obviously there's art involved in around it, and so you really get to the reading manga really has benefits, being as there are picture details and stuff like that. And what's funny is that a lot of people would rather watch the anime than read the manga because they want to see movement. And I'm like, well, it's cool to have the movement and all, but I do like watching, or at least getting to imagine them move as if they're moving like fluidly. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like that idea. And there's so many elements in this show that I really love. Like the main character, his whole I guess power in the show, he has something called the eagle eye, where he can see the entire pitch, the soccer pitch, and they really milk how he can use it. In the beginning, you see him use it as a forward, and later on, the coach is like, "No, you're not a forward," But most animes that deal with soccer, which I've definitely watched a ton of those.
21. 21 was it? Or was
is it 21?
Is it
No, that's iShield 21, and that's football. That's about a running back.
There's another one that has like, I thought it was like 21 Days or something. No, 21 Days is about the mafia guy.
There's 91 Days. I thought that was a mafia one.
Oh, that might have been the mafia. There's one like that, and I think it's like it has numbers in it, and which is the soccer one, and it's like the kid who's really sucky. He sucks at soccer, but he has such a passionate spirit that it just is contagious to everybody. And, even though he sucks, he never gives up.
Oh, is it Inazuma 11?
It might have.
He's like a goalie, right?
No, he's not a goalie.
Oh, never mind.
No,
because he was.
I'll
whack
look it
before.
up.
He used to be whack before.
I'll look it up while you could continue. In this manga that you're talking about, or / anime, I think I've watched it. I've watched the first few episodes at least, and I'm like, ooh, this seems good.
Yeah.
But there's only how many episodes did you say? Only 6.
There's only 6 or 7, I believe.
Why does it gotta take so long? Like people just talk faster, record things. I don't know. Look at us, we're dropping stuff every week.
I know, right?
Right on the spot. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
Low budget over here.
And so that's why I'll just I read it for for the progression of the story, and I think that is what kept me going, because every time I was like, okay, after this chapter I'm done. And I don't know if anybody is familiar with how anime or manga works, is that after there's like an intent, or especially sports anime, there's always an intense game or intense competition. And they spend, I don't know, sometimes in the beginning of the series, they'll spend like 20 to 30 chapters on the game. And then all of a sudden, later on in the series, they have like 70 chapters to a game. But there's always like a little peaceful time. And that's where all the comedy is. That's where all the rom-com stuff is. That's where you find out like the coach actually is in love with the coach's assistant of his rival team, who she happens to be like they were high school sweethearts and stuff like that. You'd never know, because they're always bickering in the beginning. However, if you watch a lot of anime or read a lot of manga, you probably could tell, depending on how the writers wrote it. And got a shout out to all those who scanlates them, even though it's not legal. They translate it in the way that it's supposed to be said. So, and to put in more context, there was a singer who sang a Korean song, and what he did was he put his own R&B spin, American R&B spin on it. And although it sounded majestic and amazing, the emotion behind it wasn't there. So if it's supposed to be a sad line, but he's saying it seductively, right over the head. So I got to give it up to those people who do translate those for mangas that are both in the books, the paperbacks, and or the ones that are online. Granted, I can't read Japanese, but my brother can, and he used to read the mangas out of Shonen Jump, the magazine, and he's like, "Oh, this is awesome," and I was like, "That's cool, dude. I can never do that."
Wait, your brother can read Japanese?
Yeah, only up to Hiragana. He can't read kanji. He said that's the hardest. That's hard.
Kanji is the one that's the traditional, right?
Yeah.
The one that looks like Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it comes from China anyways, but okay. And so there's kanji,
Hiragana and Katakana.
Which one is the one that's curvy?
Hiragana.
Hiragana. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Katakana it's a lot easier to read if you were starting out. Like, my brother taught me a couple of things, but later on, like, I forgot it because I didn't practice it every day. He drilled that stuff.
That's cool though. That's awesome that he knows how to read in Japanese.
Mm-hmm. And it's always funny when I look at like a simple form of text in Japanese, I always look at my brother like, "Hey, what does that say?" He's all like, "Shiro to risho," and he's like, something about this, and I'm like, "That's my bro."
Yeah, but I mean, he does the same thing to you, right? Whenever you guys walk around, and you see something in Korean, he's like, "Hey."
No, he reads Korean better than me.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Never mind.
Yeah. He's the one with the master's degree, not me. But granted, it's not in language.
I was just gonna say it. I don't think it's in languages though. No.
Yeah, we just wanted to be polyglots, but I didn't stop. It's just that I didn't really take Japanese and or Korean in high school, where he did. He took Japanese in high school. And because he took Japanese, he quickly understood the characteristics of Korean.
Yeah.
He's just like, I may know how to say it, but I have no idea what it means.
It's the same thing with me. I know how to read Korean for the most part. There are a few characters that I look at and I still go, okay, what's the sound that comes out of this? Like, how would you pronounce this character, right? And for the most part, I can read Korean, but you ask me what it says, and I'm like, I don't know. I can just read it to you.
I can read it,
right? Except for like things like kansamnida or annyeonghaseyo, like because I can read it and I know what that word means. Once I hear kansamnida, oh, I know what that means. That means thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But other words, I know ant. No, I forgot it.
The word ant. Oh, the Korean word for ant.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
also the English one because I just said it. But
Right. I was like, I know ant. I was like, that's
that's
all right.
the bug, by the way, not like your
Your parent's sister.
yeah.
Yeah. So what was? Oh yeah. So for Korean words and Japanese words, most of the things I know is from anime and Korean dramas, and so I listen to them, and I like I try to when they're talking to someone who's rich or who was born from a rich family, like a young kid, especially males, they're called chebos, chebol. I don't know if I'm saying it right. They are apparently like princes. They're like prince men, boys that were raised in riches. And then there's also like upperclassmen and lowerclassmen. Hobe is the lower, and the upperclassman is Sunbae. You know what I mean? Like, and so when I read some Korean sentences, you can try to like pull out words that you do know, like the Sunbae word or like 안녕하세요. 안녕 is really the hi, which in the slang term. So if you hear that in the sentence, you kind of try to piece where it is. I almost kind of read it as a puzzle. If I don't know the whole sentence, then like I can't figure it out. But if I can piece like at least two phrases that I know in it, I can pretty much guess what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I really like to count my blessings that I can read cues, I guess body language cues, no matter the country you're from.
Same here.
Yeah, so we were blessed.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. At my church, because I go to a church that is mostly Korean.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right. My wife is half Korean, but so when people are talking in Korean, and they'll go and translate it to me, I'll be like, oh no, I got you. Yeah, like, I understand what you're saying. And they what? And usually it's about music because I play music for the church. And so it's like, oh, no, I got you. I know what we're doing. We're going here, and then we're going to go there. And they're like, you know Korean? It's like, no, I don't know Korean, but I know body language, and I know like, I could. It's easy. I can understand because of how you're saying it and your body language and just your tone of voice kind of gives away sometimes what you're trying to say to some people. So yeah, no, 100%. If you can kind of figure out what people's mannerisms are, you're like, okay, I can start understanding what you're saying without understanding a single word of what you're saying.
Yeah. And so that goes back to the manga that I'm reading, Awashi, and the people that are translating it, like, big ups to them, especially when it comes to the romantic parts where it has nothing to do with romance in the actual story. That just goes to show that, there's passion behind these words that are both from the Japanese side as well as the translators side. So, good on them. And yeah, if you guys like anime that revolves around sports, I highly recommend it. It's great. Yeah, Awashi, I want to say I'll give it like a 7.8.
Nice. The one I was talking about, by the way, is called Days.
Days
was a good one.
I'm reading that now too. Yeah, I'm all cut up.
Days was a good one. I was like,
Days is great.
This is a beautiful anime.
Mizuki, that's my boy right there. That's the captain. And oh yeah, a little note. So a lot of animes always has one character who is like just above all the cream of the crop in the group, right?
Obviously.
And Mizuki was one of those guys. He's the one that will stand in front of a pitch or in front of the goal, and then they'll give him like Dragon Ball Z like power ups in front of him. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you know what I mean? That's Mizuki. In another sports anime, I believe it's called The Ace or no?
Oh,
Diamond No Ace.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah, and the captain,
love that one.
The captain of that group. Oh, I forgot his name, but because where I'm at, he's already or not retired, but I believe he graduated, and he was a captain, and he was a fourth batter. Now, for those who aren't familiar with any baseball terms, when you are the fourth batter, you're the strongest batter in the group. mainly you're the strongest. So a fourth, only because first, second, and third, their job is to get on base. And what does the fourth batter do?
Bringing them home.
Bring them home with a homer. And that's what the captain did in Diamond No Ace.
Love that anime.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. It's always the captain. And it's always funny because the captain was whack in the beginning. He sucked. You know what I mean? They were never amazing in the beginning.
Right.
It's only just after so much trial and error that he perfected his skills and just went amazing. But yeah, that was just a small little, insert I wanted to do because all these shows in Awashi, they don't have those people. They don't have the guy that stands out the most.
Yeah.
Because, like I said earlier, the youth clubs and the high school clubs are different. Youth clubs are solely to go pro. So whoever's dope is going to go up. That's all they do.
And then they're just average.
Yeah, they're just, then the team just kind of, So, yeah. But slowly but surely, you do see the dope characters or the side characters become better due to that. So, yeah.
Have you read/watched, I'm going to totally butcher how it is, Yowamushi Pedal?
Yep. I love that. I love that manga. I love the show more only because I can hear the singing.
I love it too. That's a great anime. I'm actually rewatching it for like the third time.
Yeah,
and I'm not a person.
Times.
I don't rewatch things because once I figure out how something goes, I'm like the excitement of it is gone. I already know how it's going to end. Right. But it was just so well done. I was like, I can't help but just rewatch it. It just brings a smile to your face as you're watching it.
Oh yeah.
And you kind of just want to sing along with what's his face? I don't forget what the main character's name is, but you just want to sing the song with him as he's pedaling away.
Hime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hime. Yeah. I love that. Oh yeah. No, that show and the manga is great. I actually paused the manga for a bit. Why, you ask? Because it took a long time. There was I want to say a 6-month period of no chapters.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what happened.
And then all of a sudden it came back with 30 chapters. I was just like, oh, this is where they all were. And granted, obviously these animes or these mangas aren't translated by a professional company or anything like that. However, wherever it is, I'm just praying that the story is right. You know what I mean? And so when people talk to me about, the storyline, I always suggest things that I'm not sure it actually did mean to say that.
Right.
And because it's on the internet, there's so many different versions of it. But yeah, Yowamushi Pedal, yeah, I love that series. Who's your favorite character?
Other than the main character?
Yeah. Well, I guess he would be in there too. I mean, you like the main character?
I do like the main character, but if I had to pick somebody who isn't the main character, because the point of of main character is to love that character for the most part. But I would say the big guy, the one who's the sprinter.
Yeah, the one that everybody goes behind.
Yeah,
that dude's awesome.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, that's so cool because I like the leader of that group.
Yeah, he's good too.
He's so dope, and I think the cool thing about him is that he was cool-headed
the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And I think what made me like the main character as well was that he took mentorship to one of the third years, and he was a mountain spider or something like that.
Yeah.
The way he was riding his bike, I used to do that kind of riding. Yeah, side to side. And one time I went over to the side a little bit too hard, and I fell and scraped the side of my leg. It was not pretty.
Oh man!
But I grew up and learned from that mistake. I never ever rode that serious again. This is in Hawaii, but yeah, it gave me, because in Hawaii there was in my apartment complex there was a little pathway that goes up the road with bumps, and so we would race. Yeah, it would curves all the way up. There was there were 4 tiers of apartments, right? So you go the first tier, a second. I lived on the third, and then there was one more above me, and so we would start on the bottom where the bus went, and we would race all the way to the top. And the only way for me to get up there faster was to do what he did. And it was funny that I just kind of came up with it. I never did win those races. However, I wasn't last, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, so, I'm just like sliding left, right. I went right too hard, fell, scraped my leg. It was glorious. It was one of those days that you're just like, I'm so happy to be a kid. And yeah, so.
But right now my life sucks because this really hurts.
Yeah, it hurts. Right? Yeah. Neosporin was the hero. You know what I mean?
That's funny. Yeah, no, that I also do enjoy my sport animes for sure. So 100%. I don't know if you want to say it on here, but where do you read your mangas, bro?
Oh, well, I actually have an app, and the app is called. Hold on, let me go get it, because it is not from a company. So
He's he's grabbing his iPad.
Yeah. I got it. All right, so let's look at it here.
Just because I used to, we had Kiss Anime, and they had Kiss manga as well on there.
Yep.
But I think they both got closed down, because what they were doing was not legal.
Yep. Well, at least it doesn't help the Japanese creators, which I definitely want to do, and I do so by paying for my Crunchyroll, and I watch the anime. That's the best. That's the best I can do, only because I can't read the Japanese versions and the mangas aren't available here.
Well, and I wonder, how much do we even help? Because I know that, Japan takes their mangas real seriously.
Very seriously, yes.
If you're not doing good enough in their, weekly or daily copies of... Because usually, sometimes they have, big books that they have a bunch of different mangas in there, right? Different stories. And if you're not doing good, they kick you out. It's like, oh, you're done. The manga's just not going to do the thing. You better find out a different one.
Yeah. And
I feel like that's partially why you get sections of where everybody's doing the same kind of story. When I was reincarnated as a slime, right? And then you had a bunch of other ones that were just like, oh, the main character is super OP. You had 8 animes that all came out right at the same time. They were like, oh, here's the main character is super OP, right?
Right.
And it's just like, and I'm guessing it's because you get one that does it really well, and you see it boosts up. Everybody wants to go read it. So all the other writers are like, oh damn, I got to do something exactly the same as that. Let me go and write my version of that OP character.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of twists like that. Yeah. You asked earlier where I read
your
my manga.
Well, you're gonna have to figure it out. Apparently, according to that, to the song.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to. I don't know why I texted them that, but I read it at Manga Here.
Manga Here. You heard it here first, people. He reads it on Manga Here.
Yes, and I'm not saying that what I'm doing is right, but I love it. Okay,
He needs his daily fix.
I do, and I read a ton of manga. If you guys want to talk about it, we can. There's the Nerdy Volume Podcast, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. I'm always on them.
Look, if he lived in Japan, he would be going to the store every day, buying the new copy.
Oh, yes, most definitely. I would actually be. I'd be learning how to read them in the daytime, and then buying them after 6 months. I'm going to be but I just feel like my collection would be insane.
You'd need a whole house just for your collection.
For it. Yeah, exactly. Or a library.
This is my house, and then this is my manga house.
And also, if you guys don't want to go the route that I go, which I don't recommend for everyone, it's not for everybody. So, for the younger folks who's listening, the library has tons of manga that you can read.
Heck yeah.
And you can also read at Barnes and Nobles without having to buy them.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Do it.
I wouldn't. You I
Save
would.
Barnes and Nobles.
Yeah, go to Barnes and Nobles if there's. Are they still open? I know.
Yeah, no,
Borders
there
isn't
is.
it. Okay.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but like I would suggest maybe using gloves so you don't get your fingerprints on them. Make the value still there. Don't bend the books if you're reading it there. But yeah, those are some solutions that you guys can use if you don't want to do the manga here. Now, that's not the app that I use. The app that I use is completely different, and I don't know the name of it.
Because it's in Japanese.
No, no.
Oh, never mind. It's not in Japanese.
I just don't know the name of this app.
Because it wants to stay anonymous.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Here we go. It's called Manga Reader.
Oh.
Manga Reader by Robin Studio. Copyright 2019.
Oh, they just got shut down.
Yep, my bad.
Good job.
Anyway, Manga Reader is just a hub for where a bunch of websites are.
Oh, I see.
Which I don't think is illegal. I don't think it's illegal.
Having a app that tells you where the websites are? No, definitely not.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's just a
The
directional.
websites themselves probably.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just totally put that app on blast.
FBI is just gonna go over to Manga Reader. All right, now we know where all these websites are.
Oops. Forgive me.
That screws you over more than it. I mean,
That's
along
true.
with them because then you have no access. But don't worry, they'll just open up like instead of manga.
It'd be like manga site.
Yeah.
With SIGHT.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, so that's where I get my manga, and we'll probably be talking about this more. I would love to make this into a series where it comes towards mangas and all that jazz. Only because I just don't read regular books as much. I should, but
What a loser! No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, guys. It's just the way it is.
There's no pictures in this book.
Yeah, like who is this even supposed to look like?
How am I supposed to know what he looks like if I can't see him?
Right? Everybody's gonna have like a different look for him.
Oh, that's for sure, though.
Mm-hmm. Like for Hagrid, I thought would be played by John Goodman.
Okay, I can see that.
And I thought the girl that played Hermione, although she was already too old to play Hermione, I thought she was gonna play the best friend from Full House, the daughter's best friend. I thought she would play a funny Hermione. But they chose a ton of UK actors because that's where it was written. And I didn't know that. So that blew all of my expectations out the water, except for Professor McGonagall. Professor McGonagall, I actually thought it'd be the lady from Sister Act, and it was.
Nice.
It was. And I'm not talking about Whoopi Goldberg, y'all. I know who. I'm talking about the sister above her, okay? She was like, she was the nun of all nuns. She was none of y'all business. That's what she is, okay? That's who Professor McGonagall is. She looks great still.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and then she did a fantastic job, too. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Loved every second of it. But, let's see.
So what are you reading,
Well,
Leo?
So I mentioned this last time. I did finish Harry Potter maybe a month ago.
Okay.
Like the whole series,
Okay.
which was fantastic.
Love it.
I loved I was like, now I understand the phenomena that is Harry Potter. I mean, I was a fan of the movies, right? But like, I remember my sister reading Harry Potter when she was like younger. She like, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna read this. It's just not my thing. Right? And I think I mentioned this last time. I have dyslexia, so my dyslexia always made me not want to read anything because it just made me feel stupid, and it just took me forever to read anything. But thanks to like Audible, right? Audiobooks are just fantastic because I can listen to it and listen to it at a much faster pace than I could probably read it. So yeah, I did do Harry Potter, and right after Harry Potter, I did Lord of the Rings, which was also really good. But it's also kind of interesting to like read two different types of books and then listen to how those writers writing style is so different from each other, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting, because after listening to Harry Potter, I only had this imagination of how, oh, okay, this is how you're supposed to write books, you know, this is cool. And then I listened to Lord of the Rings, and I'm just like, wow, this writing style is completely different. Not the same at all. It's a lot more old fashioned. Obviously, it was written in like the 30s or whatever.
Right.
But it was still really good. And I was very impressed. And I was like, damn, man, these books are just beautiful. So good. I, once again, I understand why these books are just like stand the test of time. I mean, they're not super old, but from a book of the 30s is and still being read today, and people making movies of them today, that's successful.
Oh yeah. Right? Would you say that it's probably because of the way that they take fantasy?
Yeah. And like Lord of the Rings, I think I could be wrong, but I would say that Lord of the Rings kind of built fantasy. You know?
You mean like that's like the base?
One of, if not the most famous like idea. When you think of fantasy, when you think of elves and dwarves and orcs and whatever, like if you think D&D and you say, what book do you think of when you think of D&D? Most people are probably going to tell you, oh, Lord of the Rings, right? That's kind of it. So you have that, yeah. So I would say so. Like and bro, like Tolkien, he made an entire freaking world. Like there's not just his books like the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. No. He has appendixes of different things about the world. Like these are how dwarves really are. This is like their lifestyle. This is elves and how long they actually live and where they came from, and like there's a huge history and just like so much depth to the world of like Middle Earth, and you're just kind of like, dang, bro. And then you kind of think about the 30s, and you're like, that was a thing in the 30s. Like, really, people were like interested in that. I feel like, and obviously it's just me and probably TV portraying it, right? But you think of the 30s, you think of the 40s, and you don't think of people being like having the time or the desire to think of a fantasy world, right? They're more like, I'm in my life, especially the 30s, which the Great Depression was in the middle of. So like people are like, I don't got time for all that. So, but yeah, I think the way they built their fantasy world, the just it really helps you kind of like, oh dang, I can see what you're trying to write to me, So,
so I have a question.
Yes.
So Tolkien and J.K. Rowling or J.F. Rowling. Is it J.K. Rowling?
I think it's J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Rowling.
Or is this Tolkien and Rowling? Do you think their houses are clean? Or is it packed with papers and books that are folded, and there's like, I guess books with like folded papers to like, let them know where they're at. You know what I mean? Do you think it's just like dusty and just full of just character building papers?
Definitely think that it is just papers everywhere and everything is made out of wood.
Mm-hmm. I think Tolkien sleeps underneath his books. But that's just me. He did?
Did because he's dead.
Oh, well, when he did.
Yeah, 100% though. Yeah, he probably like just like wrote and like fell asleep like his character, because his characters would do the same thing. Mm-hmm. I'm partially convinced that he definitely like Bilbo was Tolkien, because Bilbo wrote a lot. Like his whole character is about him writing his life story and what he did in The Hobbit, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I'm like, that's Tolkien right there. He's just that's his personality is right. Bilbo, I think, and wanting to write his legacy and writing stories and love to write just everything, music as well. Like I think I told you this, or I told someone, the first book, half of the book was just songs. Like, right. Just folk songs, like, oh, we're singing. I'm like, dang, what? Like, that's it?
Do you remember what some of the songs talked about?
Um, most of them were like just talking about like the nature and its beauty, and and friendship, and it was folk songs,
Right. And I think,
everyday life kind of situations.
yeah, and as musicians, we both can see what they're actually doing is their setting. Those are settings.
Right. Yeah.
So obviously they're gonna be talking about, if they're talking about nature, they'll be like the trees are like this in the spring and like this in the
Exactly.
winter.
100%.
Yeah.
That's
So
how
yeah.
and there was like there was a part where they were talking about the forest, like one of the forests they were walking through,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Oh, it reminds me of so and so," and then one of them just randomly starts singing the song about that forest that it reminds them of, and I'm just like, "Alrighty then."
Yeah. No, there was a song that Ed Sheeran did in the I was gonna say The Walking Dead in Game of Thrones, and I believe he wrote it, and it was they were singing about someone.
Yeah.
And when they sing about someone like that, I believe that it was just it was really cool because it shines on who they are as a person, who they're singing about, and it just shows like let's say his name was Adam. Adam is mighty as can be, and then all of a sudden you just think of a really strong dude. He stands, and then they'll say something. Yet he stands only yet 4'3". You know what I mean?
You're
They're
right.
like, oh, he's short.
He's a small dude.
You know what I mean? And then and they'll say things like he can eat bowls of stew and wine galore, something like that. And then they'll finish it off. He takes from the rich and he gives to the poor. His name is Adam. You know what I'm saying? Like that. And so, like, that would be the whole jaunt of the song. You know what I mean? Just, that's it. Like, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll just sing it 4 times.
Yeah.
And that's the song.
Yeah.
And everybody's happy, drunk, and fed. It's glorious when they do that in fantasy shows.
And that's pretty much what they did in the book.
Yeah.
Especially when they were talking about not famous people, but I mean people who have done things in the world in Middle Earth, who either died in combat or whatever they did, or they're just really strong warriors of any type. Yeah, 100%. You kind of remind me of this person that used to that fought in the first whatever, and everybody started singing the song that is about emulating that one guy. By the way, did you just come up with that song right now?
I did.
Gosh, you're so talented. So talented. I would not have been able, and I don't say that sarcastically. I know sometimes my voice comes out sarcastically, but I'm honestly like, I was just like, did he just really just come up with that on his own, like right now on the spot? Because
it's folk songs that are fun.
I would not have been able to do that. That's the difference between a real musician and me.
No, I write too. No, but yeah. So I like the fantasy aspect. You brought up a really good point with how they come up with these worlds, specifically Tolkien with his whole Middle Earth. Like if you're saying he started off with songs, that means that was like the fastest way to paint a picture of a world. And it's really cool to see, and it's really cool it's cool to know, especially when it's actually written down and not drawn.
Yeah.
Words are powerful, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like I said, it was a really good book. So now I'm stuck. So I'm been debating whether or not I'm going to go, because I'm in this kick right now where I want to read everything. Well, listen to everything that has been such a impact in pop culture. I don't know if that's correct, but like at least in where I've been growing up, right? So Harry Potter, obviously. I mean that they just had the reunion a couple months ago, right? And there's Lord of the Rings, which I love dearly. When I'm talking about the movie, so I'm like, I really enjoyed Chronicles of Narnia.
Okay.
So either I think I'm gonna go either Chronicles of Narnia or Sherlock Holmes, because Sherlock Holmes is really good, and the idea, and I really love the show as much as I love the movies, because the movie had Downey Jr., right?
Yeah.
And then the show The show has Doctor Strange. What's his name?
Oh, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, it has him on it,
Mm-hmm.
and the shows are really good too. But there's only 3 or 4 episodes per season, which is kind of crazy.
What?
But they're long. They're long episodes. They're almost like it's almost like watching
A movie.
a movie.
4 movies. Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
So, but they're really good. And I'm like, man, I really want to read the Sherlock Holmes books as well, 'cause, just to have that. So I'm debating between those two.
What about Game of Thrones?
I was
Books.
thinking that too.
Song of Fire.
But the only issue with Game of Thrones is that he hasn't finished it.
Oh yeah.
The show
You're one of those
finished.
readers, huh?
Well, I don't want to just like read through it and then like
Stop.
do you really want me to go with the show's ending? Because let's be honest, that was crap. It was horrible.
Yeah. I understand. Like
7 years of watching that. And that is how you decide to end it. That's how you betray all of your fans.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not talking about the author, although he might have been part of it, but just the director, and the writers of the show. It's like that's how you betrayed your audience, was with that kind of ending.
Yeah, that
All
ending was like a wait.
We don't know what to talk about anymore, so we're just gonna end it right here.
Oh my god.
You should have just ended with them killing the White Walkers, and then just finish there. I would have been happy with that.
Everybody
ending.
would have been mad, but that they ended it there. But
But it was a much better ending.
Yeah,
it was a sicker. It was so good.
It was a better ending. Yeah.
Heck yeah. But I have been thinking about that one. But that was my only thing. Is like, am I going to be okay knowing that it? And I don't know if he's going to finish it. Some people have told me he's not going to finish it because the show already finished. But I'm like, as a writer, can you really not finish your own book? Like, isn't that a betrayal?
I have no idea even how he thought about it too. I forgot his name. Robert? His name is Robert?
I don't know what his name is.
I did know it back when I was
But
like.
it sounds like that would be his name.
Because we can't forget Khaleesi is a Rastafarian Targaryen. I'm just kidding. That's funny because that was written by Coldplay. Wildling. Nah. So, all right. So the fantasy genre is something that you like to read.
Yes. I also have been reading a lot, like because after I finished Lord of the Rings, I decided to reread some of the other books I've had, which I've been reading a lot of like wealth building books. I guess the only way I can say it.
Yeah.
Or, wealth / get out of debt building books.
Yeah, the real questions.
Right. Which I've read obviously I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, which was really good. I was actually very impressed. And I remember my dad telling me to read that book when I was like 17, and
really?
I just chose not to ever read it partially because I hated reading. Right? I'm like, and I don't care about this kind of stuff. But now that I'm older and I'm in debt, I'm like, you know what? I think it's time for me to start paying attention about my
Pops,
future.
You were so right.
And after reading it,
as per usual.
Yeah, no, right? Your parents are right, man. Just can't let them know, or else they'll never let you down.
Yeah.
Or never let it down. Right? So I read that, and then I read The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, which is really good.
Is he related to Gordon?
No.
Oh, shucks.
One is English, the other one is, I believe, American.
Oh.
They probably have some ancestor at some point, right? 'Cause
Maybe,
they both have
yeah.
the same last name. But there's that. And then there was How to Manage Your Money When You Don't Have Any. And I think that, I forgot the guy's last name, but his first name is, I believe, is Eric. Eric Wickenser or something like that. Something like that. Also really good. Pretty much the same thing as the Total Money Makeover. They're pretty much the same type of book. It's how to get out of debt, but the Total Money Makeover is about how to get out of debt and then start building wealth, right? While the How to Manage Your Money When You Don't Have Any is more about how to get out of debt and stay out of debt and try to just live your life as comfortable as you possibly can.
Yeah, man. Those are some of the hardest things to get out of, y'all.
Bro. And I just got out of my credit card debt. So
congratulations on your success.
Oh man.
Yes, sir.
Now I just need my student loans,
yep.
which is the worst one.
Yep.
The
Worst.
For anybody out there who has not graduated high school yet, and you haven't gone to college, or for anybody who hasn't gone to college yet,
Scholarships.
and grants. Do not, I repeat, do not for the life of your family, of your children, and your children's children, do not get student loans. Okay, whether it's subsidized or unsubsidized, because it will screw you over.
Yep. Circumcised or not, it's not good.
No, it is not.
Yeah, I said that on purpose. Yo.
Yeah, I was like, I think he said it wrong, but I think he said it on purpose. But
it's just what it is. All right, student loans
horrible
aren't always there for you.
They're never there for you. They're there for you in the moment, but just like that, 3-day-old fish that's been sitting outside. It may look good, but the moment you eat it, it will betray you.
But if you are like me, who aren't very smart,
I don't believe that at all.
And you want to get, or you have to get student loans because you can't maintain a B average, there are jobs out there that if you work a certain amount of years, they will pay for it.
True. Yep. If you work in low income places, they will pay for your student loan because you're providing back to the community.
Yep. If you work for the government, they'll also do the same thing.
Yep.
You become a teacher.
I mean, if you want, you can go to the military. Military usually does. Although I had somebody who told me that they went to joined the military to go to school and still had loans to pay, and I'm like, that's not how I hear it.
They probably went the wrong way about it.
They probably did. So definitely do your research. But if you can avoid loans, definitely try to do that because
and don't skip what he said. He said do your research.
Do your research 100%.
Research. I know you guys didn't like doing research papers back in the day, but let me tell you, those were the keys to life.
Yeah, and if you're going into college, you're going to do more research one way or the other.
The most, yes.
So definitely 100%.
These are from books that Leo here has read, y'all.
Well, and just life and experience at all. Because I don't know if you know this, people, but student loan, the only debt that is not permitted to be bankrupt at all. You can claim bankruptcy on all your debt, but your student loan. So if you have like $100,000 in debt and you have $50,000 of student loan debt, guess what? That $50,000 still stays with
corruption. Corruption.
Right?
That's what it is.
So definitely do your research like 100%. And so these books I've been reading have been helping me like get out of it. I've also read Richest Man in Babylon, which is pretty much about how to pay yourself first. And then also The Millionaire Next Door, which
I've heard of that book.
Which is that book is a little harder to get through just because I feel like it's a lot more statistical book than it is I don't know, non-statistical. It has a lot of data in it. Okay. So if you like data, that book is a good book to read. If you don't like data, try not to read it then. But it is a good book. It like kind of shows you like how millionaires really try to live their life and not flaunt it. Apparently, a lot of millionaires don't flaunt their money because they're like, I like to keep my money and not spend it like crazy. So those are some of the other books I've been reading, which have helped. If you ever want to talk about that kind of stuff as well, let me know. I'm more than happy. I am not a financial advisor or anything, just so you know. Just a guy trying to get through life. I've also been I haven't read nor have I listened to. I've been watching a lot of like investment stuff on YouTube and on other things, which is pretty dope too.
Yeah. So if you're like 18 and listening, like
do
investments, investments is where to go. Especially if you have a job, that's definitely the route you want to go.
Yeah, do it now. Like,
passive income, learn about that. It's glorious.
Yeah.
And so you're doing a lot of financial reading as well as
man,
fantasy reading.
Yeah,
a lot of
a bunch of F's kind of
everywhere.
books.
Meaning fantastic. Okay. And so, would you say? Well, does it give advice? Does it give steps, or like what are you exactly reading?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like the Total Money Makeover gives you like steps. Like how many? What is it? Is it? I forgot if it's. I have this is how good I am at remembering things. But that's why I have the book, right? It's either 5 or 10. I think it's 10 steps to how to get wealthy. First part of trying to get wealthy. And by the way, wealthy doesn't mean rich, right?
Yeah.
Wealthy means that you are making enough money in order to pay all of your expenses and still, not come out negative at the end of the month.
Wealthy,
that's what wealth means.
Yeah.
Right? Rich means I have so much freaking money left over that I can do whatever the heck I want with it.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, of course, where we all kind of want to be.
Yeah.
But the first step to becoming wealthy is paying all your debts. Surprise, surprise. Well, actually, the first thing he says to do is save up $1,000. You should save $1,000, right? And it's your emergency fund. So this money is meant specifically for if you are, like, if your car breaks down out of nowhere, or you, like, some kind of expense you weren't expecting to pay off. That's what that $1,000 is for. Why? Because if you have $1,000 sitting there waiting, you won't have to use a credit card, right?
Right.
So that's the first step. Second step is to pay off your debts, which are like credit card bills, or your credit card debt, and your student
Car
loan
debt.
debt and car debt and all that stuff. Everything but your home. If you have a home mortgage, or don't worry about that, because that comes later on in the future in that book and whatever. So yeah, he shows you step by step what are the things you should do, right? And once you pay off your debts, then you want to save up enough money to have like 6 months, at least, like around 6 months of money saved up. So like for example, if you lose your job, you at least know for 6 months you'll be able to pay your bills without any problems.
Right.
So that's kind of how that works. And then you go into retirement, like if you want to pay for retirement or investments, or if you have children who want to go to school. Hey, if you are a grown up and you have kids and you want them to go to college, definitely, actually, don't say, oh, people should, save money for their children to go to school. Actually do it. And if you read that book, and I'm sure there's other ones out there, they tell you kind of like funds you can put your money in to help your kid. There's one, like, it's called like an education fund something or other. I forgot what it is. I know education isn't a word, but if you put in, what was it, $100 a month into this account from the moment they're born to the moment they graduate high school, with interest, they'll have $120,000 of money just sitting there waiting for them. And this is an education fund, so this money goes to their education. And most four-year college don't cost more than $120,000. So they would be able to go to school for free. Well, not for free, but debt-free, right? They don't have to worry about student loans or grants or whatever. And if they do get grants, even more money for them after when they graduate, right?
Right.
So definitely, and it's all tax-free, which is the most important part.
Yes.
$120,000 tax-free.
Right now, he's spitting gold, y'all. He's spitting gold.
Yeah, these books, I mean, definitely you should try to look into those things. And yeah, they really do helpful. And like I said, if that's like, oh man, whoa. How to Manage Your Money When You Don't Have Any is a great book also to read, because he also helps in that. And it's step-by-step stuff. Like, this is what you should do first. This is what you should do second. And then if you follow those guidelines, which is what I've been doing to pay off my not my student debt, but my credit card debt, right? I mean, here I am. And I read it last year. And last year, I was $12,000 at $13,000 in credit card debt. And now I don't have $0 in credit card debt a year later, because I freaking grind at it,
Yes.
So
grinding does exist in the real world, y'all.
yeah,
It's not just in games.
no, it hurts a little more, but
Yeah. I mean, obviously everybody's like, you gotta, the grind is real. But yeah. And for like credit card debt, like I've never had my own credit card, only because I knew that I would have so much debt.
you see, you smarter.
So I only have student loans. I did have a gym membership debt once, but that was like a decade ago.
That's funny.
And I believe it's no longer an issue.
The place shut down.
And so, yeah, like, so you definitely want to be debt free, getting out of college. The better you do in college, though, the better the higher chances that you will have a lower loan rate or a lower debt going out of college. And yeah, so these books obviously help us, with manga. It helps me with instead of reading regular texts, I like to see some pictures. I like comics. I don't really read a lot of American comics, but I do love the manga series or the manga genre, or I guess mangas, and I love to read them all the time. And there are so many people that translate them and are able to translate the Japanese words and the Japanese passion within English terms, and I really appreciate that. And I would definitely recommend some mangas for you. And if you aren't reading a manga right now and you are interested, I definitely would start now into a genre that you actually like. That's in the anime field. Just like I was talking about sports animes, but there's other animes out there like Love Ones, and there's shonen where it's mostly fight, like Black Clover. I believe Attack on Titan is shonen.
Oh.
And yeah, shonen is basically like manga or animes they're targeted towards boys, and shoujo is targeted towards girls. You know what I mean? And then young girls.
I did not know that.
Shonen and shoujo are for the young generation. Then you have seinen, and seinen is for older female. And I don't know if there's an older male one. I just think it's just still shonen because
because we never really
we never really do that. But there's the seinen, and then there's shoujo ai, and then shonen ai, and that's where it gets all into more of the like boys love and stuff like that. Where
BL.
Yeah, BL.
My wife loves BLs.
Yeah. So,
I can't stand them for the life of me, but my wife loves BL. She's like, you know what the truth, you know what's the saddest part of it? Part of the reason why she likes those is that she's like, BLs show a lot more emotions than a boy-girl relationship. And I'm like, you know what? You have a good point there. You have
oh yeah,
like the risque things that they do in BL, they'd never do in a regular boy-girl relationships.
Mm-hmm.
They're always shy and they don't want to talk to each other and all this stuff. And so that's partially
like Yuri stuff. There were two girls.
We watched one. It was called Citrus.
Okay. Did she like it as like them?
Like
the BLs?
She did. I think she likes BLs more than she does.
And I think it's because I think this is personally just an opinion. It's not fact, okay? I think it's because it's between two men and the ideology of how men think.
It could be.
And when they break those barriers together and they end up, together, they can do the things that they know that they want to try. And contrary to popular beliefs, like we said earlier, boys don't ever necessarily grow up. So, yeah, if it's passionate,
it's the fantasy of believing that I could have that one day with my husband or my boyfriend.
Yeah. I was like, they're gonna know, because they're gonna know that. Oh yeah, he grew up just like me. Yeah, things are gonna happen. You know what I mean? Granted, I've read like a couple of chapters of one. I couldn't really get into it only because I just as a dude, I kind of know the mentality of a straight dude. But if I were to put a man in that position, it's just the same thing, right? Except for when that other person would think back to that person who is also a man, it's not like I guess the barrier would be if they like each other or not. Everything else is that it's just whether you can live with the person. You know what I mean? And I was just saying it's very similar to a hetero sexual relationship. Yeah. So there's a lot of those in manga and a lot more of it in, I believe, in fantasy too.
She hates what do you call it when you have one guy and a bunch of
harem.
She hates harems.
One guy and a bunch of girls? What about one girl and a bunch of guys?
She hates that too.
Okay, that's the reverse sound.
Because for her, it's not whether or not there's a bunch of girls or a bunch of guys. It's the fact that now this person might have to choose between all of these characters or whatever. And she's like, I just don't want you to choose. I just want you to be with the one person that I want you to be with.
Yeah.
Which is that character. So stop. And then when another girl goes like, oh, you better not get in with that boy. Don't like that boy. Don't like him.
There's
so
one.
She hates him.
Yeah, there's one that came out that is a harem, but the harem is of 5 sisters. It's called Central Quintuplets. I forget the.
Oh my
it's
god!
A big word in front, and it means existential. It means like a fresh young kid, or young, fresh young, and in quintuplets, and it's just 5 high school, 5 high school girls, excuse me, and they are not all bright. And so the main character is someone who becomes their tutor, and he is broke, like super broke. And ultimately, he has a first love, and there's a picture of her and everything. And at one point, these 5 sisters used to all look alike. I mean, they're all twins, or they're quintuplets. But at high school, they started to dress differently towards their personality.
Yeah.
But he apparently met one of them prior to. And so he has a picture with him with his blonde hair days, and then he has one of the twins, and all 5 of them saw it, and they have no idea who it is. Yeah, and so most harem shows. This is for your wife, by the way. Yeah. Most harem shows already has a heroine, but people always think it's going to be someone else. It never is. It's normally the first girl they meet.
Right. Well, I completely agree with that. I think she just hates the idea of like these other girls trying to get with him. Yeah. It's like, nah, that's his girl. Like, don't, or that's her boy, right? Yeah. It's like, don't get in with that.
And the reason why I say that, and there is one anime that I think contradicts it, and that's the one I just brought up, the quintuplets one. He met one of the sisters in the beginning. However, he is closer to some other ones. And so this show is a little bit, kind of hard to understand. However, I still believe it's the girl that I think it is. And if you guys watch that anime, I believe it's the girl with the star in her hair. And that's because she's the first girl that the main character met and had a conversation with. Now, you can't just meet him like, oh, thank you, this, or like, there's no passerby. You have to have a conversation with this girl. A connection. And it normally is not a good connection.
Yeah.
It's for the guy, a lucky slip, and a girl, a reason to punch his lights out. So
calling him a perv.
Yeah. And it's funny, my brother doesn't like that. He hates that. He hates the why do they keep punching him? Like, it's their fault. Like, say he's going to use the restroom, and then he just opens the door, and she's there undressing, and he gets clobbered. He's all like, why?
I can understand the issue?
He's like, she didn't lock the door? You know what I mean? And I'm like, and I was like, I understand, bro, but that's when people like us exist in these worlds, the worlds are irrelevant. And because I realized too, like, I'm a very logical person, and I'm also someone who gives information immediately.
Yeah.
I'd beat around the bush unless I want to be, and I can, and it doesn't matter to the situation. I'm normally like what is it? Tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. The K-drama, they talk a lot about being Grim Reapers or whatever. I would have been like, I'm a Grim Reaper, and this is what I do, and you're in the way. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all it is. But the main girl said nothing. She kept quiet the whole time. I was like, the more you keep quiet, the more dumb your decisions are made. I was just like, every dumb decision that Rowoon's character made in the series was because of her, because she was very non-communicative, and I understand why. Still, though, I would have never. I'm so communicative between the people that I'm around,
right,
and that affect my life. That me being in this situation, like right now, I'm watching Stranger Things. There were so many things I'm like, why would you do that? This is the easier way. You know what I mean?
Like Max.
Oh, Max, yeah. So like right now I'm on episode 5 out of 7.
Oh, you're almost done.
Yeah. And I just found out that there's 2 more episodes, but they come out in July 1st.
There's only 2 episodes in July 1st?
That's what I heard. There was 9 total, I heard.
Oh my goodness. I thought it was going to be another like 7 episodes. That's so sad.
Yeah, I know.
You know what though? As long as they're good, because.
But yeah, so anyway, like there's a lot of situations with Max, how she didn't talk to Lucas.
Right.
And there's also with other characters too. Like now, the one character I agree with in Stranger Things is the jock boy. He is completely heartbroken, and he is a good guy. Granted, he does like, doesn't like certain like people, like he doesn't.
You're talking
like
about the white guy, the
captain.
captain.
Yeah, the captain. Yeah, he's the he isn't like a jerk, but if he don't like you, he don't like you, kind of
right.
Right? And he's definitely good to his people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so I get his angst throughout the story. I get that he wants to he wants to clean out Eddie. I get it. However, I think I would have gone, like, if I was in Eddie's shoes, I would have gone to the police, hands down. You know what I mean? Because that is weird. You know what I mean? I'm trying not to spoil as much as I can.
Oh, that's true. I was about to spoil it
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
I was like, got it. But yeah, no, I get what
yeah,
you're saying.
I would have gone to the police, and if I was Lucas, if I was Lucas, I don't know. I'm about my boys. If they were to talk smack about my friends, I'm like, yeah, you guys aren't cool at all. You know what I mean? And so, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things about stories that I realize that it's not for everybody. You know what I mean?
No.
So yeah, like the anime trope of being punched out because you accidentally walked in the public bathroom or of the bathroom of your own house to have a random girl all of a sudden changing in there to clobber you. It's unfair. That's what it is. Like, can you imagine a dude doing that? Like, a girl like walks in on a dude. But normally when a girl walks in on a dude using the bathroom, like, he could be just sitting on the toilet. She knocks him out. Like, it's his fault. He was already there. You know what I mean? But what's good about it is that it's funny. And,
that's true.
And that's what it is.
That's true. All right. Well, anything else? I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's all I've read so far. I mean, I've read a couple other ones.
I'm sure when we come back to this series of what are you reading, I probably will be already finishing Narnia and Sherlock Holmes.
And I'll probably be either caught up or reading more manga, and that's normally what I'll bring up. I mean, if you guys want us to read a regular book, let us know.
Yeah, I've actually read physical books. So like, a lot of them were Team Bopper books, or I think that's what you call them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, Divergence. Divergence was good. And Mortal Instruments.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, but if you have suggestions of things you want us to read or / listen to, if you love me and don't make me forced to read books, let us know.
Let us know. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, all Nerdy Volume Podcast. We also have our YouTube channel where you can also talk in our discussions. So please don't hesitate to ask us anything about what we're reading, and if we are reading it, please let us know what you want.
What your thoughts are on it.
Yeah. Like, give us some questions. We'll talk about it. Like that one question: if Tolkien and Rowling's house is dirty, do you guys think it's dirty? I think it's dirty because they're authors. You know what I mean?
No offense to any authors out there listening to.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I just mean like fantasy authors. There you go.
Yeah, not dirty, just unkept.
Yeah.
Unkept is probably what he was going for.
And maybe not the whole house, but maybe just like
definitely their studio. Yeah, their study is definitely all messed up.
I don't mean their whole house. Like I'm not talking about their kitchen or their living room. I was like that. You can't see that.
I mean, I'm sure. What's her name?
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling has a maid who cleans her house.
Maybe
She's a
Maybe.
rich person.
Or she has
A
a studio, and then she just kind of keeps her own house.
That's true.
If I was rich, I would want such a small house because I'd rather just clean a small house. Can you imagine cleaning a big house? Oh, the headache. Oh my gosh.
But all right, man. Well, that's it for today. I was gonna say, whatever. That's it for today's episode. Like we said, you can catch us on YouTube. If you want to write us a comment, also on Instagram and Twitter. You can listen to our podcast on
Anchor FM.
Yep.
Where we have Spotify, we have Pocket Cast, so Studio or Republic Studio, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and anywhere you can
Get your podcast.
Get your podcasts. Anchor FM is where our main page is. So go ahead and check that out when you guys have time.
Yep. So till next week.
Yep. My name is Iz.
And I'm Leo.
See you guys next time.
Deuces.